Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why the women who don't chase, who don't bend over backwards, who don't try so hard, are the very ones men can't stop thinking about? It's not the loudest, it's not the most desperate, it's not the one who gives everything away up front. It's the woman who knows her worth so deeply that she doesn't need to prove it. That energy is magnetic. And today I'm going to show you exactly why men are irresistibly drawn to women who don't try hard. Imagine this for a moment. You walk into a room and without saying a word, people notice you. Not because you're the loudest, not because you're doing the most, but because you carry yourself with an energy that says, I'm enough. That energy is magnetic. It's the difference between someone who is desperately trying to win validation and someone who simply knows their value and allows the world to see it. And when it comes to attraction, that difference is everything. Men are deeply drawn to women who don't try too hard, because trying too hard often comes across as an attempt to compensate for a lack of self-worth. When you chase, when you bend over backward, when you give away too much too soon, you unconsciously send the message that his attention is more valuable than yours. And that imbalance destroys the natural tension that creates attraction. A man doesn't want to feel like he's doing you a favor by being with you. He wants to feel like he's lucky to have the chance. Now let's be clear. Not trying too hard does not mean being cold, aloof, or playing games. It doesn't mean withholding affection to manipulate someone into wanting you more. What it means is having the courage to be authentic, to show interest when you feel it, but to also show standards when they matter. It means you don't sacrifice your identity just to fit into what you think someone else might want. It means you understand that your time, your energy, and your heart are valuable currencies, and you don't just give them away cheaply. Think about this. When a woman tries too hard, she usually does things she doesn't even enjoy just to appear good enough. She'll laugh at jokes that aren't funny. She'll say yes to things she actually doesn't want to do. She'll bend her boundaries in the hope of being liked. And over time, the man senses this. He feels that what she's giving isn't real, it's performance. And performance creates pressure. Pressure kills attraction. But when you don't try so hard, you're not performing. You're being. You're showing someone the real version of you, the version that doesn't need to force anything. And that is far more powerful than any act. Men are attracted to women who seem like they already have a full life. The woman who doesn't try hard is the woman who has things going on outside of the relationship. She has friends, she has passions, she has goals that excite her. She has hobbies that fill her with energy. And because her life is already rich, she doesn't look at a man as the sole source of happiness. She looks at him as an addition, not a necessity. That's irresistible because it makes him feel like he has to step up to earn a place in that life rather than being handed one without effort. What happens when you don't try too hard is you naturally flip the dynamic. Instead of wondering, does he like me, you start asking, do I even like him enough to let him in? That subtle shift in mindset creates an energy that men can feel. You're no longer in a place of seeking approval. You're in a place of deciding who gets access. And when you move through the world with that energy, it makes you magnetic because people can sense that your love and attention are not things to be taken for granted. And here's the truth. A man respects what he earns. If he gets everything from you instantly, your time, your body, your commitment, your investment, without having to prove himself in any way, he won't value it as much. That's human psychology. We value what we work for. So when you're not trying too hard, you're giving him space to show you who he is. You're letting him invest. You're letting him pursue. You're allowing attraction to build the way it's supposed to through effort, intrigue, and discovery. The beauty of not trying too hard is that it comes from a place of inner security. It comes from knowing that your worth isn't tied to whether someone chooses you or not. When you're secure, rejection doesn't define you. When you're secure, you can be interested in someone without attaching your whole identity to the outcome. That energy feels light. It feels playful. It feels free. And that's the kind of energy that pulls people in, because nobody wants to feel like they are someone else's entire lifeline. They want to feel like they're stepping into something joyful and abundant. Men are very attracted to women who don't try hard because those women exude something rare, effortlessness. They're not trying to force chemistry. They're not trying to sell themselves. They're not trying to manipulate a specific outcome. They are simply present, comfortable in their own skin, and willing to let things unfold naturally. That effortlessness is intoxicating because it makes the interaction feel alive, not scripted. Think about the last time you were around someone who was desperate to impress you. Maybe they bragged too much. Maybe they over-explained everything. Maybe they kept trying to win your attention. What did that do? It drained the fun out of the moment. It made things heavy. Now contrast that with someone who was just relaxed, who listened, who shared, who laughed, who didn't seem preoccupied with controlling how you felt about them. That energy is refreshing. That's the energy people want to come back to. When a woman doesn't try too hard, she radiates mystery, not because she's hiding who she is, bees. Oat, because she isn't spilling everything in one go. She's not oversharing her entire life story in the first conversation. She's not rushing to define what the relationship is before it has even had a chance to grow. She allows space. And that space creates curiosity. Curiosity is the foundation of attraction. People want to peel back layers slowly, not be handed the entire book in the first 5 minutes. Not trying hard doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're detached. It means you know how to care without collapsing into someone. It means you know how to give without losing yourself. It means you're capable of affection and intimacy while still maintaining your independence. That balance is what makes a woman magnetic. She shows interest, but she never abandons her self-respect. She is warm, but she is also discerning. She is available, but she is not waiting by the phone. That balance creates tension, and that tension is where attraction lives. At the heart of it all, men are very attracted to women who don't try hard because they represent a deeper truth. The woman who doesn't try hard already knows she is enough. She doesn't need validation to prove it. She doesn't need to chase love to feel worthy. She doesn't need to perform to be chosen. She is enough as she is. And that kind of self-belief is the most attractive quality of all. And when you truly embrace the idea that you are enough, you stop playing by the old rules of dating and relationships. You no longer see love as a battlefield where you have to prove yourself, compete with others, or constantly outdo someone to keep their attention. Instead, you step into a mindset of abundance. You recognize that if one man doesn't see your value, it doesn't diminish you. It simply means he wasn't the right one to receive what you have to give. That shift in mindset changes everything because it frees you from desperation and puts you back in a position of power. When a woman no longer tries too hard, she begins to attract from a place of choice rather than fear. Think about the difference. When you're afraid of losing someone, you'll do almost anything to keep them. You'll silence your needs. You'll ignore red flags. You'll accept behavior that you would normally never tolerate. And in doing so, you create a dynamic where the other person doesn't have to give much because you've shown them you'll accept the bare minimum. But when you move from choice, it's different. You look at a man's actions and ask, does this align with the kind of love I deserve? Does this feel right for me? And if it doesn't, you walk away, not because you don't care, but because you care enough about yourself to know that settling is no longer an option. This is why men are so drawn to women who don't try too hard. She is not afraid of walking away. She knows her worth is not tied to whether someone else validates it. And that kind of self-assurance makes a man step up his game. He realizes that if he doesn't, he could lose her, not because she's playing games, but because she genuinely knows she deserves better. That reality forces him to bring his best self forward, and that is how healthy attraction is built. Here's something important to understand. Men want to feel like they've earned your attention. It doesn't matter how confident or successful he is. If he feels like he got you without effort, he'll subconsciously devalue it. But when he senses that you're selective, that you don't just give your heart to anyone, he feels a sense of pride in winning you over. That pride deepens his investment. And the irony is, when you stop trying to convince a man to see your worth, that's when he finally sees it clearly. Another reason men are so attracted to women who don't try too hard is because it removes pressure from the interaction. When someone is trying too hard, it often feels suffocating. There's no room for things to breathe, no space for neural chemistry to unfold. But when you're not overextending, when you're not clinging to every word or desperately seeking reassurance, the interaction feels light. He doesn't feel like he's being smothered or expected to fulfill all your emotional needs instantly. Instead, he feels like he has space to grow closer at his own pace, and that makes the relationship feel natural rather than forced. What's even more powerful is that men instinctively associate effortlessness with confidence. A woman who doesn't try too hard communicates that she knows she's desirable without needing to shout it from the rooftops. She doesn't need to prove anything because her presence already speaks volumes. That's why the most magnetic women are the ones who can walk into a room not seeking validation but simply existing fully in who they are. That quiet confidence outshines any rehearsed line, any perfectly curated outfit, or any attempt to win someone's approval. Let's be honest, trying too hard often comes from fear of rejection, fear of being overlooked, fear that you're not enough. But fear repels. It creates tension in all the wrong ways. It makes people feel like they're being forced into something rather than naturally drawn toward it. But when you operate from a place of security, that fear vanishes. You no longer feel the need to overgive, overshare, or over-explain. You trust that the right person will see your value without you having to prove it, and that trust becomes a powerful attractor in itself. And here's the paradox. The less you try to control someone's perception of you, the more they actually see you. When you stop worrying about saying the right thing, wearing the perfect outfit, or responding to texts within 3 minutes, you relax. And in that relaxed state, your real personality shines through. Your humor comes alive. Your quirks show up. Your true energy flows. That authenticity is what makes someone fall in love, not the carefully constructed version of yourself you think they want to see. The woman who doesn't try hard understands that attraction is not about performance, it's about connection. It's not about impressing someone, it's about discovering whether the two of you truly align. She knows that she's not auditioning for a role in someone else's life, she's evaluating whether he fits into hers. That perspective shift makes her incredibly powerful because she's not afraid of the outcome. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, she moves on. That lack of attachment to the result creates a magnetic pull because it shows a man that she isn't clinging to him out of need. She's choosing him out of desire. The most unforgettable women are the ones who know that their energy is precious. They don't waste it chasing people who aren't showing up. They don't drain themselves trying to convince someone of their worth. They focus instead on becoming the best version of themselves, and they allow love to be a natural extension of that. When a man meets a woman who has that kind of energy, it's almost impossible for him not to be drawn in. He feels her value before she even speaks. There's something incredibly attractive about a woman who knows how to walk away from things that don't serve her. Not because she's heartless, but because she values herself too much to stay in situations where she's undervalued. That kind of strength is rare, and men can sense it immediately. It doesn't mean she's harsh or unapproachable. It means she has standards. And standards are deeply attractive because they make a man rise higher. Without them, there's no challenge, no reason to grow, no sense of accomplishment. With them, there's a reason to bring his best self. When you stop trying hard, you start giving a man the space to step into his role. You allow him to be the one who invests, who pursues, who shows up consistently. And men love to feel like they're contributing, like they're winning something worth having. That doesn't mean you play passive. It means you stop carrying the entire weight of the connection on your shoulders. You let the dance of attraction unfold naturally instead of trying to drag him through it. A woman who doesn't try too hard communicates through her actions that she values balance. She's warm, but she's not needy. She's kind, but she's not self-sacrificing. She's attentive, but she doesn't lose herself in the process. That balance creates an irresistible tension. It says, I want you, but I don't need you. I like you, but I like myself too. I'll give, but only in a way that feels mutual. That dynamic is what keeps relationships alive, because it ensures that both people are bringing something to the table rather than one person carrying it all. And let's not forget, when you don't try too hard, you protect your own energy. You stop overextending yourself for people who aren't giving the same in return. You stop wasting your time on relationships that aren't going anywhere. You stop depleting yourself just to keep someone else happy. Instead, you conserve that energy for the people and opportunities that truly deserve it. That makes your life richer, and it makes you far more attractive because men can sense when a woman has boundaries. Boundaries show self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic. At the end of the day, men are very attracted to women who don't try hard because they represent freedom. Freedom from pressure, freedom from pretense, freedom from the heavy expectations that come when someone is desperate for validation. They represent lightness, authenticity, and self-belief. And that combination is intoxicating. It's not about being perfect. It's not about always saying the right thing or always looking flawless. It's about knowing that who you are is already enough and carrying yourself with too. Quiet confidence that the right man will see it without you needing to prove it. And when you carry yourself with that quiet confidence, something fascinating happens. You stop being consumed by how someone else perceives you, and you start focusing on how you perceive them. Instead of sitting across from a man wondering, does he like me? You shift into the mindset of, do I even like him? Do I enjoy the way he treats me? Do I feel more alive when I'm around him, or do I feel drained? That switch is powerful because it puts you in a position of evaluation rather than auditioning, and men can feel that difference immediately. A woman who doesn't try too hard isn't in a rush to secure someone's approval because she's already given herself approval. She knows that love is not about convincing someone to see her worth. It's about discovering whether two people align in values, in vision, and in energy. That calm discernment radiates strength. Men are naturally drawn to that kind of strength because it signals that she won't be swayed by shallow games or empty gestures. It shows she's looking for something real, and only those ready for real will step up. There's also a sense of mystery that comes from not trying so hard. It's not about withholding or pretending to be something you're not. It's about allowing things to unfold naturally. It's about understanding that attraction deepens over time, that you don't need to dump every piece of your soul onto the table on day one. When you give someone room to earn their place in your life, you create curiosity, you create anticipation, you give the connection a chance to grow slowly, and that pace is what makes it sustainable. Men often chase intensity at first, but what holds them long-term is depth. And depth can't be forced. It develops when both people invest steadily, when trust builds layer by layer, when each moment reveals something new. A woman who doesn't try too hard embodies that depth. She doesn't rush the process. She doesn't pressure the outcome. She lets him peel back too. He layers naturally, and because of that, he feels like he's discovering a treasure over time rather than being handed everything in one instant. That discovery is intoxicating. Another truth is this. When you stop trying to win someone over, you stop abandoning yourself in the process. Too many people lose themselves when they fall for someone. They start molding their personality, their choices, their lifestyle just to fit the other person's preferences. And in doing so, they erase the very qualities that made them attractive in the first place. But when you don't try so hard, you maintain your individuality, you keep your passions alive, you continue nurturing your friendships, your career, your growth. That independence is magnetic because it shows a man that you are complete with or without him. And that completeness makes him want to be a part of your world rather than feeling like he's responsible for building it for you. When a man meets a woman who is complete on her own, it creates a different kind of attraction. He doesn't see someone who is needy or dependent. He sees someone who is a true partner. He sees someone who can bring joy, wisdom, and balance into his life without draining him. That's the kind of attraction that inspires men to stay, to commit, to give more of themselves because they know they are not being consumed, they are being complemented. And here's something people don't always talk about. Trying too hard often pushes people away because it feels like control. When you're always chasing, always proving, always bending, it makes the other person feel like they don't have room to breathe. They sense that you're trying to dictate how they see you or how the relationship unfolds. And nobody wants to feel controlled. On the other hand, when you relax into who you are and let the connection grow naturally, you give him the freedom to choose you willingly. And when a man chooses you out of freedom, not obligation, that choice is far more powerful. The woman who doesn't try hard is not afraid of patience. She knows that real attraction isn't about instant gratification, it's about consistency over time. She's not rushing to lock him down after one date. She's not panicking if he doesn't text back immediately. She understands that if he's truly interested, he'll show up, and if he doesn't, she doesn't chase. She simply redirects her energy toward people who do. That patience communicates tremendous confidence because it shows she believes that what's meant for her cannot pass her by. This mindset doesn't just affect how men see you, it affects how you see yourself. The moment you stop trying so hard, you reclaim your power. You start realizing that your worth is not negotiable, that your energy is precious, and that your love is a gift. You stop begging for scraps of attention and start demanding reciprocity. You begin to live with the certainty that you deserve someone who invests as much as you do. And when you live from that place, you naturally filter out the wrong people without even trying. Men are very attracted to women who don't try hard because those women set the tone for the relationship. They teach through their behavior that love is not about desperation. It's about mutual respect and shared effort. They show through their actions that they will not tolerate being taken for granted and that standard alone makes a man rise higher. He knows he can't be careless with her because she won't stick around if he is. That accountability brings out the best in him. And here's the secret most people miss. Attraction is not about doing more. It's about being more grounded, being more authentic, being more secure, being more selective. When you focus on being instead of doing, you shift from external validation to internal certainty. That certainty glows in the way you carry yourself, in the way you set boundaries, in the way you refuse to settle. And that glow is what men notice first, even before they understand why. The woman who doesn't try too hard doesn't fall into the trap of scarcity. She doesn't believe that love is rare, that men are scarce, or that her chances are running out. She knows that abundance exists. She knows that her value doesn't diminish just because one person fails to see it. That abundance mindset is incredibly attractive because it makes her presence feel light rather than heavy. It shows that she's with a man because she wants to be, not because she has to be. That distinction makes him feel chosen, not trapped. She also understands the power of silence. When someone mistreats her, she doesn't argue endlessly. She doesn't chase. She doesn't try to convince him to change. She simply steps back. That silence speaks louder than words. It tells him she values herself too much to stay where she's not respected. And that act alone often commands more respect than any speech ever could. Men notice when a woman walks away with dignity, and that memory lingers with them long after she's gone. And perhaps the most magnetic thing about a woman who doesn't try hard is that she is unshakable. Life may throw challenges at her, Relationships may not always go as planned, but she remains centered in who she is. She doesn't crumble just because someone didn't choose her. She doesn't fall apart when a connection ends. She knows that her identity isn't tied to anyone else's validation. That resilience is captivating because it shows a man that she is strong enough to stand on her own, yet soft enough to let someone in. The balance of strength and softness is the ultimate attraction. Strength without softness can feel cold and unreachable. Softness without strength can feel needy and dependent. But when a woman has both, when she can stand firm in her value while also offering warmth, kindness and vulnerability, she becomes unforgettable. That balance is only possible when she stops trying so hard to be one extreme or the other and simply allows herself to be whole. So when you hear that men are very attracted to women who don't try hard, understand that it's not about withholding love or playing manipulative games. It's about embodying self-respect so deeply that you no longer feel the need to beg for attention. It's about trusting that you are enough as you are and that the right person will recognize it without you having to scream it. It's about creating space for real connection instead of forcing artificial intensity. And it's about knowing that true attraction doesn't come from what you do to impress. It comes from who you are when you stop trying to impress at all. And the beautiful thing about stepping into this mindset is that it shifts the entire rhythm of how love unfolds in your life. When you stop trying so hard, you stop rushing the natural flow of things. You stop putting pressure on the early moments to become something bigger before they're ready. You start to enjoy each interaction for what it is, not for what you need it to become. That presence, that ability to actually enjoy the moment without attaching it to an outcome is magnetic. Men feel it immediately because it makes them feel free too. There's a freedom in knowing that you don't have to prove yourself. Imagine walking into a date not with the mindset of, I hope he likes me, but instead with, I hope we connect. That subtle shift changes everything. Instead of performing, you're present. Instead of evaluating yourself through his reactions, you're evaluating the dynamic between you both. This energy makes the experience more alive, more fun, more real. And that authenticity is what men find irresistible. It's also important to understand that when you don't try too hard, you stop overcompensating. Many women fall into the trap of giving more than they receive, hoping that all their extra effort will convince a man to commit. But the reality is, compensation never creates love. It only creates imbalance. And imbalance always breeds resentment. When you're overgiving, a man subconsciously registers that you don't see yourself as enough on your own. And instead of making him step up, it often makes him step back. But when you give in alignment with what you receive, when you allow reciprocity to guide your actions, the connection grows naturally. This doesn't mean withholding affection or being closed off. It means paying attention. It means noticing if his actions match his words. It means seeing whether he invests emotionally, mentally, and physically at the same pace that you do. And if he doesn't, it means pulling back, not as a punishment, but as a recognition that you will not carry the relationship alone. That boundary creates respect. Respect deepens attraction, and that respect is only possible when you stop trying too hard to keep something alive that isn't being nurtured equally. Men are drawn to women who don't try so hard because they feel that she's not afraid of losing him. That doesn't mean she's careless. It means she knows she'll be fine either way. That self-sufficiency is incredibly appealing because it allows a man to give out of desire rather than obligation. When he knows you're not depending on him for your entire sense of worth, he feels free to pursue you authentically. He feels inspired to give, not pressured. And that difference creates a bond that's far more sustainable. A woman who doesn't try too hard also knows the value of her time. She doesn't waste endless hours analyzing texts, overthinking every word, or trying to decode mixed signals. She knows that someone who's genuinely interested will make it clear. She knows that her energy is too valuable to be spent chasing confusion. That decisiveness makes her powerful. It saves her from pouring herself into situations that are beneath her. And men respect that kind of clarity. They may not always admit it, but deep down, they crave it because it sets the tone that love should be intentional, not accidental. Think about how refreshing it is to be around someone who isn't desperate, someone who doesn't cling, someone who can enjoy your presence but doesn't collapse without it. That kind of energy feels safe, it feels inviting, it feels balanced. That's the kind of woman men come back to again and again, not because she's withholding, but because she's whole. When you're whole on your own, you don't place impossible expectations on another person to complete you. Instead, you invite them to join you, to add to the richness of a life you've already built. Not trying so hard also means embracing your natural feminine energy. True feminine energy is not about being passive or submissive. It's about being receptive, graceful, and grounded in self-worth. It's about knowing that you don't have to force love. You simply allow it to flow toward you. You don't chase it, you attract it by being rooted in who you are. Men are drawn to that energy because it feels rare in a world where so many are trying to prove themselves. That quiet, receptive strength is magnetic. It makes him want to move toward you, not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it. And let's be honest, trying too hard robs you of your authenticity. You can only keep up an act for so long. You can only pretend to be what you think someone wants before it starts to feel exhausting. And once the mask slips, the illusion shatters. But when you lead with authenticity from the beginning, there's nothing to hide. You're free, you're relaxed, you're real. That realness is what creates lasting attraction because it means the bond is built on truth, not performance. Another reason men are so drawn to women who don't try too hard is because those women create contrast. They know how to balance giving with receiving, closeness with space, affection with independence. That contrast keeps the dynamic alive. If you other someone with constant effort, the connection becomes flat. But when you maintain your individuality while also allowing intimacy, it creates a rhythm that keeps things exciting. He never feels like he has you completely figured out because you're always growing, always evolving, always bringing something new to the table. This is why self-growth is such a powerful form of attraction. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, when you pursue your passions, challenge your mind, care for your body, and nourish your soul, you create an energy that is undeniable. A man feels it when he's around you. He senses that you're not stagnant, that you're not living just to be chosen, but that you're living fully for yourself. That makes him want to be part of your journey, not because you need him, but because your life is already inspiring. And here's the paradox that so many miss. The less you chase love, the more it comes to you. Why? Because when you're not desperate, you're more selective. When you're more selective, you filter out the wrong people. And when you filter out the wrong people, you create space for the right one to enter. That's the power of not trying too hard. You're no longer cluttering your life with half-hearted connections. You're waiting for the one that actually deserves your effort. Men notice when a woman has that discipline. They may test boundaries at first, but once they realize she isn't bending just to keep them, they respect her. They step up or they step out. Either way, she wins because she never loses herself in the process. That kind of woman is unforgettable. Even if a man loses her, he remembers her because she never begged, never chased, never collapsed. She stood strong in her value, and that memory lingers. The woman who doesn't try hard is also the woman who understands the art of pacing. She doesn't rush intimates. She doesn't push for labels too soon. She allows the connection to evolve in its own time. That patience is alluring because it gives a man the space to show who he is without pressure. It gives him the opportunity to reveal his intentions naturally. And in that space, she can see clearly whether his actions align with her standards. Not trying too hard also protects you from disappointment. When you're not over-investing before someone has shown they deserve it, you avoid the heartbreak of giving your all to someone who was never serious. You protect your heart by allowing people to earn their place gradually. And men admire that discernment, even if they don't always say it out loud. It communicates strength, wisdom, and emotional maturity. And perhaps the most important reason men are attracted to women who don't try hard is because they radiate peace. In a world where so many are striving, proving, and forcing, a woman who is calm, centered, and at ease in herself is like a breath of fresh air. She's not chaotic. She's not desperate. She's not heavy with need. She's light. She's grounded. She's peaceful. That peace is magnetic because it makes a man want to stay close. It makes him want to protect it, nurture it, and build with it. So when you stop trying so hard, you don't just make yourself more attractive, you create a life and energy that naturally draws the right kind of man in. A man who values peace, a man who respects standards, a man who sees authenticity as more beautiful than performance, a man who knows that true attraction is not built on desperation, but on mutual recognition of value. And once you realize that, you'll never again feel the need to prove yourself. You'll simply let your presence do the work,